I guess I'll start with this week. You guys obviously this is not new to you, but what's different about this year as opposed to last year? Obviously, you get the opportunity to stay here in Lynchburg. So what's
Yeah, less travel this year. 8-hour bus ride to Cleveland last year for even the regional, and then cross-country flight. And I think those things are really cool and a great experience, and stories the guys will be able to tell. But we're really excited to be in the city of Lynchburg for both rounds this week. It was a great experience, even playing at a couple different spots. Liberty having us over, but really excited for this week to still be in town and sleeping in our beds, and a chance to play at the Bank of the James Stadium like we did in '23, and an opportunity to go back to the World Series. We're fired up.
Coach, you mentioned that. I look at the wall and I just see so much success. I mean, you talk about the ODAC championships, the regionals, super regionals, World Series. I mean, just how big and special is that? And obviously, I guess it's a big advantage. These guys know what to expect, because this is the third straight super regional, so it's not like the first or even the second. These guys know and expect what to happen.
Yeah, we're really fortunate. We have a great group of players. The standard has been set. The standard was put in place by Coach Lucas Jones, who's now at Notre Dame. And I think just finding the right players to fit in the program that can keep that standard and keep that level of play. And more than anything, it's about the work that goes into it. Certainly these are goals that we set out each year, but we know that they're really difficult and hard to achieve, and we're excited that we're back in this position, and not taking anything for granted, and just excited to play here and against a good Rowan team.
I've asked you about your pitching play a few times this year, but going into the Super Regionals, just given the format, right, 3 games, 2 out of 3, having the 1, 2, 3 that you have in Tyler, Logan, and Nick, how big of an advantage is that? Do you sleep well kind of going into the first game of that, knowing that? And obviously your bullpen's done a good job here in the playoffs as well, kind of locking up in the back.
Yeah, to win these series, you have to have good starting pitching. There's no secret. And for us to win this series against a really good Rowan offense, those guys are going to have to give us some quality starts. I feel great about where all 3 of them are at. They're probably pitching their best they've been all year. They feel healthy, they feel strong, but really like where our back end of our bullpen is too. So, we're just in that mode of whatever the game is, do we have a chance to win at the last 3 innings? If it's 2-1, so be it. If it's 13-12, fine, let's get after it. But to win these series against really good teams when there's just 16 teams left, you're going to have to perform well, and the guys on the bump certainly are guys that are going to have to do it too.
I guess the biggest thing is last week was such a crazy schedule. How did you guys handle that, and how did you? I mean, because obviously success you guys had it, but how did you handle that, knowing, okay, we're going to play at 11 o'clock at night, and we're going to play over here, we're going to play everywhere. How did you guys handle that? I mean, manage that, because I mean it can be a lot of heady stuff there.
Yeah, I think the last couple of years prepare you for that situation. In 23 we're in the World Series, very, very similar. I think game 1 out there, we started at like 10:30. Game 2, we started at like 9:45. Last year, flying across the country. So that adversity, those experiences, I think, put us in a great place to not be overwhelmed by those situations. But at the end of the day, we just want to play baseball. We don't care who's against, where it's at, what time. An opportunity to continue to play late into the month of May. We know what that means, and we're just pumped to have the chance to do it.
Have you ever been involved in playing a game starting at 11 p.m.?
We've been in 3 now, so maybe not 11, but we've played in 3 games in the last 3 years that have finished past midnight. And we've done well in those situations. Hopefully we won't run into it this weekend. But yeah, it's unique. But I think in some ways it's kind of helps, because the narrative becomes more about that and what time we're playing, rather than significance of the game and the weight that might bring.
Just kind of talking about the Rowan team, you mentioned their offense. You look at their schedule this year and how many runs they put up in a game, like 15, 12. It's not uncommon to see them do that. How do you feel about your offense in the opportunity that it gets to a shootout? You mentioned 13-12, things like that. It is what it is. How do you feel about your offense this time of year? Maybe potentially getting into a shootout like that.
Yeah, it's similar to last year. We pitched it so well the last month of the year that our offense, I think, got overshadowed a little bit in 24. I think this year's been no different. We were a sub-3 ERA for a good part of the year, but our offense is in the best spot it's been all year. We feel confident that we can score runs in different ways, but we have some hitters that are really locked in right now, and look, hoping that they can stay there this weekend. Like I said, whatever the game is, we're going to be prepared for it. If it's a low-scoring ball game and it's pitching and defense, great. We can play that game. If it's a high-scoring game and it requires offense and some crazy stuff, then perfect. Let's go play that game as well.